Mission 623, the irrigation information. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
Oh, afternoon.
Off to a great start.
In fact, I do have good afternoon. We are Alan Mitchell and Upperley Splitting. We're residents of Onimana. We're here to represent the Onimana Residents and Community Association, known as ORCA, and also a number of residents who have asked ORCA and have also asked ourselves to present their views. Based on the local knowledge, ORCA's submission brings to your attention 3 possible sites that you could consider for Freedom Camping to be relocated to. And the residents we represent have asked to have their views presented and have asked for the Freedom Camping to be relocated to Tuna Place. We'd just like to first acknowledge that the Thames District Council and the Waimataa Community Board for listening to the Onimana's residents' concerns and have proposed to remove the Freedom Camping area from south of the lower car park. Residents for many years have witnessed and raised serious safety concerns regarding the unsafe environment of this corner due to the presence of the Freedom Camping designated area. There have been a number of near misses and we have raised serious safety concerns regarding the unsafe environment. There have been a number of near misses on this, as I said, on this corner with people and vehicles, most of which have involved Freedom campers trying to enter or exit the designated area. This particular corner at the lower car park is by far our busiest part of town. It's been a concern for the community residents for a long time, and they've thought that if something wasn't done soon, it wouldn't be long before someone is hurt. So we thank you for listening and proposing to remove the Freedom Camping from south of the car park before someone was hurt at this corner.
Your last proposal is now to relocate the Freedom Campus to the north side of the car park. We bring to your attention that this proposed site has already been rejected by our community and yourselves back in 2016, when Freedom Campers were removed from the north side of the car park to the south side. At that time, you redeemed that the site north of the lower car park was unsuitable and the Freedom Camping site was relocated to the south of the lower car park by the stream. And as we have just said, that site south of the lower car park that is designated for the Freedom Camping area in 2016 is the very site that everyone has now deemed seriously unsafe. As ORCA has said in its submission, we were surprised that you were proposing to now relocate the Freedom Campus site to that everyone, including yourselves, had previously deemed unsuitable and is now deemed seriously unsafe. We are totally opposed to any Freedom Campus being south or north of the lower car park, which happens to be located on the corner that is the busiest part of our community. Having Freedom Campus at this corner is just too dangerous. We have just had too many near misses at this corner, some involving TCDC. We want people to come to Onimana, whether they are residents, visitors, Freedom Campers. We want that done safely and we don't want people to be hurt. As you have seen in ORCA's submission, we have identified 3 possible practical sites that you should consider for a Freedom Camping site. These are top car park at top of Onimana Drive. This site will require little investment and could be implemented immediately. This site is at the top of the hill, so walks to and from the beach could be an issue. The second site worth considering is the area opposite the Onimana Fire Station at the entrance to Onimana. Once again, this site is on the main road, so it could have some safety issues. It's also further away from the beach. Another possible site is the reserve in Tuna Place. This is off the main road and is close to the reserves and beach with easy access. Access to the place location would be the most practical and inexpensive to implement. Those residents asking that their views be represented also ask that the Freedom Camping be located in Tuna Place.
So just winding up, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity to consult and express our views. We also, as we said earlier, wish to thank you for acknowledging our community's serious concerns regarding the unsafe environment at this corner caused by having Freedom Camping south or north of the lower car park by removal of the Freedom Camping from this area. So we appreciate that. We strongly object, as we said, to any considerations to putting Freedom Camping back into that.
30 seconds, but we have 5 minutes 30.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm that's fine.
We don't think.
So we strongly object to any considerations we put Freedom Camping back into these areas, but we know it's unsafe.
Terry's got a question for you.
Okay.
So, yeah, thanks for your submission. So of the 3 places, Tuna Place is the recommended one. Is there much work to be done to make an area? Would it be involved? Like, do we need to form any ground levels there, or is it?
Yeah, so I would say, just looking at it, half a day with a bobcat, just to flatten it. It's on a knoll, so, which makes it very dry. Other parts of Noonamana are very wet. This one is probably one of the driest parts. And the rise in it would be no higher than the stadium's height from the floor. So,
And how many numbers would you see fit there?
we worked out, there's probably about 200 square metres there.
So we must probably
There's plenty of room.
we get about 7 Freedom Campings sites in there.
Thank you.
So is that if you're turning out of Onimana Drive into Tuna Place, is that it's the area on the right?
Yes.
Okay.
I should point out, it's not the main big area we're talking about beside the houses. It's just a little bit further up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, further.
It's away from the house.
Yeah.
Further questions, Gary?
Yeah, when this area was deemed unfit back in 2016, that was prior to the new toilets going in.
Yes,
And I gather that would make it even worse now.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the area.
I should add the other, we do have a disability toilet about access in car park there. If the campers were to go into the car park, that would have to be changed because they wouldn't be able to turn into the car park.
Okay. Thank you very much for your submission.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on. Robin Stewart. Welcome. Page 966.
And Robin has also circulated, I have a table for the notes, right? Yes, so you should have that.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, Robin Stewart, I'm representing the Port Charles resident ratepayers, and I have added to that submission because some of our ratepayers are slow in getting to them, so there were more wants to be added. They do oppose the draft Freedom Camping Bylaw for the following reasons. Number one, the defined area is already in use. It was actually acknowledged by TCDC in the proposal that both areas are used a lot for community events and access to the boat ramp. Why would you reduce the space available for a rate-paying community and the ever-increasing number of day trippers that our area now accommodates? This is the only all-time beach in Port Charles, and it would be very interesting to find out when or if any consultants actually visited the beach to observe the impact that Freedom Camping on the foreshore will have. It is felt that the public use of our bay has been grossly underestimated by TCDC and their consultants. Sandy Bay also provides the only boat ramp for the Port Charles area and the Stony Bay camping ground. And therefore both sides of the road reserve at the northern end of the beach are already fully utilised with parked cars and trailers, particularly over the summer months. The area, the required area has been grossly underestimated. We strongly argue that the size indicated on the proposed allocated area on the map will in no way accommodate 6 self-contained camper vans, especially if they wish to open their doors or put up an awning. the little blue triangle definitely is a serious misrepresentation of the 6 sites. It's directly in front of existing homes. 1635 Port Charles Road, which has been in the same family for 53 years, is the only permanent resident ratepayer on the beachfront. Since when has it been the policy to place a camping site on a well-utilised public reserve directly in front of residential dwellings? There is already an established Freedom Camping area in the dock reserve behind the houses. It's already there. If you feel that more are required, why cannot you consult with TCDC to increase these numbers? We're definitely not against people coming. We have them there all the time. There are also 2 established dock camping grounds in our area. 122 sites at Stony Bay, which is 7 minutes north, and over 200 sites at Waikawau, which is 17 minutes south, both of which have been recently upgraded at a great expense. That's certainly a really good number of camping in our area. Other points that members raised that were of concern and consequently felt that the total score of 7 in the assessment tool were grossly miscalculated are listed below. 8, borders a successful dotterel and oyster catcher hatching ground, and that is recognised by DOC. It's adjacent to the well-used picnic table on the beachfront. It's also adjacent to the Westpac landing pad, which is used on many occasions. It's adjacent to the TCDC contractors' parking, turning and area for gravel storage. And it's adjacent to the busy turning area for locals who are unable to access their properties safely off Port Charles Road. They actually have to drive down over the bridge, turn around and go back up Port Charles Road. Policing. There are no regular policing of camping in our area, and it's never been carried out. Case in point, multiple campers stayed at the northern end of the beach over the last summer period. When some locals complained to DCDC, they were informed that the locals should tell them to move on. It should not be up to locals to police any camping policies. We may be a small community, but we're all very proud of our foreshores and take pride in the feedback we receive from the many visitors to the beach. And placing a Freedom Camping site in this pristine area is something we are all very bewildered about. We just want to know why the site was chosen.
Good question.
Thank you. Good question.
Very thorough, thank you.
Thank you. No, just really.
Okay, no questions?
No questions, you're lucky. Does that mean a clear solution?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we've got moving on to who's online.
We have Penny Clayton
Penny
available.
Clayton. So we're looking at page 247. Hey, right.
Hi, Penny. Yeah, you're on mute, Penny.
That's handy. Kia ora, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Hahei residents and ratepayers. I will keep this brief. We wholeheartedly support Council's proposed continuation of prohibition for freedom camping for Hahei, Hotwater Beach, Flaxmill Bay and Paparoa Shakespeare Cliff. We do support self-contained freedom camping only, limiting freedom campers to a maximum number of nights and specific timeframes from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. And we really support including the New Zealand standard for self-containment in the bylaw, so we have an area of black and white that we can see what self-contained means. We have concerns about the freedom camping continuing in the Purangi Estuary and the beachfront reserve in Cook's Beach. The main reasons for this are the front reserve in Cook's Beach. We regularly, as a St John medic, we regularly land the helicopter there any time of the day and night, and I would be concerned about public safety. There is dotterel nesting along Cook's Beach and the Purangi Estuary, and it has significant historic heritage value with the landing of Captain Cook and also for the Ngāti Hei as well. So we would have concerns about continuing freedom camping, and we would recommend and propose that the freedom camping is prohibited in those 2 areas. That is me. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Questions of Penny?
Yep, fire away.
No questions? No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No one have any questions? Thank you, Penny.
Thank you. See you later.
Okay, it looks like we can,
Robert Potts.
yeah.
Robert Potts, page 889.
So name of that one, sorry, who?
Robert Potts.
889.
Robert. Pot.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. I'll just turn my camera on.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Right. Basically, I just really want to let you know that I support 10 families down the northern end of Esplanade Drive, and that we support the recommendations made with Esplanade Drive being made prohibited to Freedom Camping, and for the reasons that we outlined in our submissions. And in summary, it's really the access to the beach that's the issue, with the Freedom Campers staying for long periods and taking over the facilities in that area with barbecues and hanging your washing and the putakawas, rubbish left, and lack of them being self-contained. So that's really about all I had to say. Some of them are very polite and pleasant, but many of them stay for long periods. And if they do disappear for a day or two, they've usually gone to another site within Wangata and then they come back again.
Questions of?
Just one, Robert. During the day, is this observed or is it night time?
It's generally nighttime. Sometimes they do stay around a lot during the day. I mean, it can be the same vans there for weeks on end, but they do come and go. But they do tend to take over the picnic tables and the barbecues for a prolonged period. So it's possibly, say, 3 or 4 o'clock onwards most evenings.
You're talking self-contained or unself-contained?
Well, they have the stickers, but they generally smaller vans. They might have a chemical toilet somewhere in the van, but they certainly use the putakawa trees as their.
We know.
Yep.
Any other questions?
No, yeah. You say the issues we have as residents right across the road from the Freedom, whereabouts are you? But I'm not sure which area you're talking about.
Okay.
On the Esplanade.
Yeah.
Esplanade Drive. So the people I represent are on the cul-de-sac end of the Esplanade.
Can I ask, why do you oppose parking by library and TCD area to the sealed area?
Yeah, I don't think I meant to actually oppose those areas. Sorry. I mean, there has been Freedom Camping and just behind the information centre in the past. Yeah. I don't oppose that if that's what you're talking about.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll cross that out.
Okay, I've ticked the wrong boxes. Really, our main issue is right across the road from us.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Bob Osborne.
Say
Members Association.
Yeah. Hi, Bob.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
We can hear you, yes.
Cool. I don't really want to get into specific site discussions today. We're not, as an organisation, we're not in a position to actually be able to put input into that. What we're concerned about is the council's ongoing use of certified self-containment. The Freedom Camping Act, and specifically the High Court's upheld that any council bylaws have got to be made that comply with the intent of the Freedom Camping Act. As you would probably well know, that NZMCA lobbied to have the certified self-containment program included in the Freedom Camping Bill, which ultimately failed. Now, we believe reasons for that failure was not compliant with the intent of the Bill of Rights Act or the Freedom Camping Act. There is really no ability for a council within the Freedom Camping legislation to actually restrict camping only to RVs that are certified self-contained. As a right, any restriction on a right has to be justified, and it has to be demonstrated to be justified in a free and democratic society. I know for years NZMCA have lobbied councils, and a lot of councils believed for a long, long time, and in fact government departments as well, that the Freedom Camping Act was all about RVs. The reality is it's not. We've had government websites, probably 20 government websites changed in the last 2 years that said you had to be certified self-contained to Freedom Camp. You don't. The majority of Freedom campers cannot even be certified self-contained. And yet, nobody has a problem with people in tents or anybody else. Your water users that camp on riverbanks at night and stuff. No one's got a problem with it. The only problem seems to be coming from those.
Yes, no, I didn't. I haven't really seen. I haven't sort of been in that loop for years.
I'm just muting another participant.
All right.
I was just muting another participant. So please carry on, Bob.
Yeah, so and I know, like Minister Nash's bills at the moment that's going through Parliament. If you actually read the technical consultation document that's come out, and I believe submissions close on the 6th of October, but they actually exempt all the vehicles and people that they're talking about exempting, the only people who are going to be requiring to meet the new legislation is going to be NZMCA members, basically. They do make up 86% of certified self-contained vehicles at the moment. And again, I don't think it's the intent of the Freedom Camping Act to give a private organisation most inclusive use of public land. There is, after 32 years, and I'll repeat that, 32 years of self-containment programs been around, there is no evidence that it's ever provided any health benefits or any other benefits. It's certainly not a solution to anything. The only group that claims that it is a solution to anything has been NZMCA. We've done official information request on MBIE, Ministry of Health, Internal Affairs, Ministry of the Environment, all those. Nobody has got any evidence at all that supports certified self-containment as a solution for anything. We're disturbed. The majority of Freedom campers, as defined in Section 5, cannot be certified self-contained. And yet we have councils fixated on NZMCA's narrative that think the certified self-containment is the answer to everything. 2 years ago, in Queenstown Lakes District Council submissions that NZMCA made, they said that at that time, the only council that had any problem with porta potties and camper vans.
You've got 30 seconds, Bob.
Was Queenstown Lakes District Council. Yep. I've done 119 nights away in my camper van, Freedom Camping, in the last 3 years. I've used my porta potty twice, and I am definitely not an irresponsible camper. Right, questions?
Questions? Any questions about?
Yeah, I gather, have you seen this latest bill put out by the government on self-contained motor vehicles legislation bill?
Yeah, definitely have.
And I understand.
I've just written a 20-page submission.
Yeah, sure. Well, I understand what you're saying, because they've come up with huge amounts of requirements for what they call, it's now called motor vehicles, but self-contained, all the certification and all the other things that has to happen. And it seems, although they mention non-self-contained, the thing that seems to be, in my concern, is the ones that cause problems. So the thing that is of concern, gosh, I lost my train of thought then. Oh yes, the problem that comes, that really is the main problem, is those people who aren't self-contained. And there's really...
there's a major distinction between being certified self-contained and being self-contained. We support self-containment. We do not support certification, because certification is only for those people in RVs, of which our NZMCA members make up an estimated 86% of.
Yeah, well, there's a huge amount of
anybody, including your people, your families, and everybody else, can be
Bob.
self-contained.
I just want to ask if there's another question. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Bob.
All right, cheers, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Okay.
You raised some good points though.
I believe we had Angelique online.
Page 1192.
Angelique, can you hear us? She's coming via a phone.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, you're welcome to say your submission now.
Okay. I would like to speak on behalf of myself, my husband, and a number of the residents in the Pawanui area specifically regarding the Freedom Camping. We have no objections at all to Freedom Camping, but I think that there has to be some clear boundaries as to where Freedom Camping can be conducted. And adjacent to Billy Royal, the south end of the beach, or Mount Pleasant, there are all toilet facilities there, which are generally used for latrine purposes, not as a washroom. And I think the big thing to take into consideration with Freedom Camping, because they're not self-contained, is that they're using the bathroom facilities, other than just toileting, to have a wash. And there is nothing more confronting than going into a public toilet when you're a little bit desperate and finding somebody half stripped having a wash in the hand basin. And in my opinion, or our opinion, that is unhygienic and inappropriate, particularly if you've taken young kids in there. If there were shower facilities outside the public toilets, I don't think it would be such an issue, because then they could swim and shower. But they're using the hand basins as a bathroom, and that is inappropriate. Now, the central government are very clear about their guidelines as to how they'd like to eradicate people living out of the back of vehicles, and I feel that Freedom Camping in public areas like that is inappropriate on a number of reasons. I don't have an objection if they want to go off the grid. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think that's what Freedom Camping should be all about. It shouldn't be about parking in a public car park alongside, people who are walking dogs and residents and using all the facilities for nothing. There is a campground there if they want to use that. There's also an RV park if they want to use that at the local Pawanui Sport and Recreation Centre. So I think these things need to be taken into consideration. And also, I believe that they need to have some accountability to pay for whatever they're using while they're using the facilities that the Thames Coromandel District Council provide for ratepayers and visitors. And that is the end of my submission.
Thank you.
Just one quick one, yes. If I could just ask the question, at the moment, Royal Billy Point and the South End are recommended Freedom Camping areas. Are you suggesting that the facility should be upgraded, or is it just certain types of the people using it are the issue?
I think it's fine if it's a self-contained RV, but for Freedom Camping, I don't think it's appropriate.
Thank you.
And I don't see why the council should pay for upgrading of those facilities without some kind of contribution from the people that are using it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sandra's got a question.
Can I just ask, do you see the problems escalating due to the homelessness?
No, but I think there are a number of people that are using Freedom Camping as an excuse for a cheap holiday, and there are going to be more and more tourists around, and therefore I think some clearer guidelines as far as the appropriate destinations that they can park up, and right in the middle of a residential area, I don't think is appropriate.
Thank you.
Yeah, just following on from that. Yes, the homeless question. In fact, this new bill proposing to say that you cannot stop people, homeless people sleeping in cars, and that's what's proposed in the new government bill. So we really have to think very carefully about all this. What's your view on that?
Yeah, well, again, I mean, what's the difference between a car and a small van?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the.
You know, and then how do the police approach it in terms of moving them on if they have to?
Well, they're actually saying, proposing this new legislation, that the homeless have the right to sleep.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you, Angela.
I don't. All right. Is that the end of my slot?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Right, we're now on to our last submitter, Jeff Chambers. Welcome, Jeff. Come up to the chair there, yeah.
Just hit Rob.
No, the others are coming.
No, it's okay.
Is Rob Core not coming?
Rob, yeah, he's put his apologies in, and Theodora has also put her apologies.
Oh, because he's got some interesting questions.
Jeff, you're the last man.
Oh, good.
Last man.
You'll be pleased about that. So yeah, my name's Jeff Chambers. We've had a family batch at 21 Thompson Place in Pedo, which is for quite some time, and it's just around the corner from where the proposed Freedom Camping site is on a recreational reserve at Hangdown Drive. Our family strongly opposed Freedom Camping on this location. The proposed site area, and it's surrounded by houses. The very close proximity to family homes will cause tension and conflict in what is a peaceful and quiet location. Many freedom campers cause issues unless it's closely supervised. Some are fine, some dump rubbish, some are disruptive. There's no public toilet close to this location, and there's no. I know that it's supposed to be self-contained, but often, in my experience, they get around having to have a toilet by just using a bottle or something like that. So Pedo Bay has one sealed boat ramp for the whole bay, and it's getting busier every year. Hangdown Drive is the only trailer parking area for this ramp. With many new houses at Pedo Sands starting, we will require more parking for trailers and not less. And the site itself is approximately 4 metres fall across the site, and it's clay with a little bit of topsoil on it, and it gets really wet with any rain. So I don't know if you've ever been camping in a motorhome, but you need to be on an absolute level site. You can't be it's like you just roll down to the end of the bed. So it's not ideal at all. So freedom campers will add no value to a pedo and will inevitably cause problems where none exist. Pedos are remote, it's difficult to access, and the Blackjack Road is very narrow. It's a very narrow and windy road. It's not sealed, and I don't think you really shouldn't be encouraging large camper vans and motorhomes to travel on this road. Especially at the moment, there's logging operations going on there, and this happens, most years now. There's logging operations in the area, and there's really limited passing bays. So, and if people are riding there in campers, it's probably unlikely to have been there before, and the road's really windy, and they don't know that where they have to pull over and wait and see if there's someone, a truck coming up the road or someone coming up. You can't, they just have to back up. There's no passing. So you're pretty well stuck. So, it's going to cause, you're going to have issues, on that road. So the other issue is that if there's a problem with the freedom campers, we're considerably long way from any help or support from council or police or whatever. So, I think it's going to be a real issue. And I think actually that there is other sites that could be better suited for freedom camping. The old Moloch site in Matapawa Bay Road, I know it was looked at, but was shelved.
What was this looked at?
Well, I just noticed that it was in the in one of the they look, how they rated all the sites.
Where is that? Sorry, where is that site? Where is?
So it's Matapawa Bay Road. So you know,
It's on the road up, just on the road.
just it's a tip site. So and it's actually sealed and it's flat and it's private and it's 300 metres to the beach and it's but there's no neighbours, And I think really when people want to go freedom camping, they really want that privacy. They're sort of not there to be stuck in the middle of a residential area. They want their own little private area and they'd like a little, distance between them and the next camper and, that kind of,
So a question, so in the PDO Bay, you're really concerned that it's not going to work. Is there any further on that could work? Like, is it even more a problem?
No, it stops Centre Road.
Do you agree with the previous submissions that we've had on a Pedo Bay that really the problem with Pedo Bay is access over the Blackjack?
Yeah.
And as that is actually an unsafe environment to bring people who don't know the area in.
Yeah, well, I've experienced it myself, with driving up the road and there's people coming down that don't know. And, I saw one quite nasty accident just out from Luke's.
Challenging road.
And it was it wasn't a camper van, but it was a rental car, so it's obviously tourists. And they took out a boat on the corner. We couldn't get them out, sort of apart from the boat. So it was like,
Rental cars shouldn't be on those roads anyway, should they?
Sorry, rental cars shouldn't. I don't think rental cars and rental staff should be on that road. It's a bit like sort of Skippers Canyon Road and Queensland.
And the other thing is you encourage. Sorry, I shouldn't make a comment. No, I didn't comment.
Yeah, so that's so
Very well behaved. Very well behaved.
Yeah, I can't make that comment.
Yeah,
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Got the message.
No other questions?
No.
I said it's first. Let's do something.
I think we all know the area.
Yeah, it's a big one.
How do we find out, how many people, we were for it or against it or?
The staff will go through all the submissions and collate those now.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a deliberation on these hearings on the 29th.
Yeah.
So there'll be some information coming out.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
They are on the website.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've got a few things going on.
We just need to close the hearing, and I do believe that, yeah.
Need a motion.
So that concludes.
No.
That concludes all the hearings. So we're going to close this hearings meeting.